Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Karen stole $50,000 from my bank account. After that, my friend is wrongfully suing my dentist. And after that, am I the jerk for making my girlfriend cheap lasagna? Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to steal $50,000. With the way our economy's headed, that wouldn't even buy me a loaf of bread. So please smash that like button. And subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Karen stole $50,000 from my bank account. Info. I've been with my girlfriend, who's 27, for 5 years. She loves her sister a ton, which is a good thing, as I believe supporting and helping your siblings, as long as it doesn't ruin your own life. You will understand why I say this later on. We just put down a mortgage on a house in the suburbs of a large city. I, 28, male, work in tech as a software developer with a master's degree in computer science. I make quite a lot of money, so money issues never arose. Girlfriend doesn't work and does chores and cooking in the house. Both of us agreed on this. I was gonna propose to my girlfriend next year, but a problem arose about 2 years ago. For the last 2 years, probably longer, girlfriend has been sending money to her younger sister. Let's call her Emily. Emily got pregnant at 20 years old. Emily works as a waitress. The father is bouncing from job to job. Emily says that he is very lazy. He'll disappear hours at a time without telling Emily where he's going or what he's doing. Emily has asked my girlfriend on several occasions for money. My girlfriend, being the nice and sweet person she is, says yes all the time. It started off as paying for diapers, no problem. Then baby clothes, which also no problem. Then daycare, which I just brushed off. I talked with my girlfriend saying we can't always pay for everything and that helping out for a couple things is okay, but not everything. Girlfriend reassured me and said it would be stopping soon once they got their feet picked up, which is fine. One day I hired a financial planner. The next day I get an email saying my account has sent approximately $50,000 for the last 10 months. I have around $20,000 sitting in my account. I talk with my girlfriend and she apologizes and says she knew that I wouldn't want her sending money to her sister and how she just cares about her sister. We've been paying for everything. Insurance, rent, car payments, daycare, clothing for all 3 of them, dinners, dates, going out expenses. It is partly my fault because I never check my bank account. Girlfriend showed me text messages between her and Emily saying she needs the money. I then noticed the pattern where Emily would say, "Hey, can you send me money? I don't have money for this." And of course, girlfriend says yes. I brush it off and girlfriend says she won't send anymore. The next day, girlfriend sends her $1,000 because they needed car repairs. I talked with girlfriend and we got into an argument where she says that she will always help her sister no matter what. I understand to an extent. We argue trying to understand each other's point of view. As stated before, we had $20,000 and now we're down to $19,000. And then how about the next time? And the next time after that, on top of our own expenses. Girlfriend then decided that she needs some time alone and that she will be at her mother's for the time being. Now I'm all alone in this house and I thought I would live here with the girl of my dreams. Am I the jerk for arguing with my girlfriend for caring about her sister too much? Edit. Thank you everyone for your support. I never thought that my situation would blow up to thousands of people. I'll try to answer some questions the best I can. I make around $150,000 a year as a lead software developer. As someone who has no kids, dogs, or any major responsibility besides myself and a girlfriend, I never check my account. She comes from a cultural family where family is everything and money is just paper. She texted me earlier saying how it should always be family first and that money didn't mean anything without family, and how we should help close family like siblings in their time of need. At this point, I told her I needed time to myself and told her not to come back until I'm ready to talk. I apologize if my sentences aren't making sense, as whiskey is my only friend right now. I also forgot to mention we started dating before all this money came into play, so I trusted her. Another edit. I'm more sad by the betrayal than the money. Money will come back, but time will never come back. 5 whole years, my proposal plan, my life plan, my future kids I dreamt of having with her one day, all gone. All the things we've said to each other, all the late night wine-drunk times we spent, all the dates, all the flowers I gave her. I really tried with all of my power to be the best man she can have. I would have trusted her with my life, and now what do I get back? $50,000 gone. This is a massive red flag. If she's taking liberties with money in your joint account to fund the lives of 3 people now, don't you think this will continue in the future? $50,000 is a lot of money. She lied when she said she would stop and then leaves when you call her out on it. Please do yourself a favor and change the locks, terminate access to your account, and get yourself a new girlfriend. You are her cash cow and she's using you. Not the jerk. Separate your bank accounts. Do not let her use your money for her sister. That sister's gonna be a leech for your entire life. So yeah, obviously Emily comes packaged with your girlfriend. Better reconsider your entire relationship because I have a feeling that Emily ain't gonna let the golden goose go. I hope the house isn't under joint names and that you can finance the mortgage on your own. My friend is wrongfully suing my dentist. I, 55 female, have a friend, Jean, of similar age. She's not what I'd call a close friend, but I've known her for a long time. She's the type of person who always thinks she's right and won't back down easily from anything. A few months ago, she had a toothache and asked me which dentist I used. My dentist is amazing, so I recommended him. She has a dental phobia and asked me to go with her to her appointment. He was lovely to her, spent a long time talking to her, explaining everything, put her at ease. She had a big abscess under one of her back teeth. He said it either needed a root canal and a crown or extracting. The root canal and crown would be around 1,000 pounds total, and he was really clear to her that it was a big abscess and that there was no guarantee that root canal would work. He actually said the odds were 50-50 and it might be better to extract the tooth and put that money towards an implant or bridge instead. He said he could offer no form of guarantee or refund if problems happened. He was clear in what he said, and I know she heard and understood that the odds weren't great. She decided to go ahead with the treatment. I went with her to one further appointment, but not all of them. Fast forward a few months. Everything was okay initially after the root canal and crown, but then she got another infection. She had antibiotics, but the problem persisted and she ended up having the tooth out. She is livid. You'd think he was the worst person in the world from what she says about him. She wants to sue him and has been to a lawyer to get advice. She's claiming that she wasn't properly warned that the treatment may not work. Apparently, the lawyer is confident she'll get a payout. He's told her that it'll be hard for him to prove he properly warned her, and dentists are insured for this kind of stuff. They think his insurance will pay out because it won't be worth their time to try and defend it. I'm really annoyed at her for this because I know she's lying about not being warned. I really like the dentist and feel awful for him that he's facing legal action over this, and that I was the one who introduced her to him. I worry that it will reflect badly on me in his eyes when I see him in the future. I've argued with her about it because I witnessed him warning her, but she says it's none of my business. Her view is it doesn't hurt him because he'll have insurance. Like I said, she doesn't back down from things. I feel so strongly about this that I want to send a written statement to the dentist that he can use back against her. I would state that I witnessed the appointment when he warned her and that she clearly heard and understood what he said. I know that in doing so, I would probably lose her as a friend, but to be honest, I don't care about that at this point. My husband thinks I should do it. He's never liked Jean. He describes her as a nightmare and thinks I'm best off without her as a friend. So, would I be the jerk if I did this? Not the jerk. Not only is she scamming, but it will put a mark on his record professionally and more than likely result in him having to pay higher insurance rates. You would not be the jerk. Back up the dentist. You know he warned her. You heard him. You are a good witness for him. Not the jerk if you do. I'd flat out tell this friend to knock it off or you will help the dentist because you and I both know you were told the odds. What a crappy friend. If she's so sue happy, she should have picked a random out of the yellow pages. Am I the jerk for making my girlfriend cheap lasagna? I, 24 female, make a delicious lasagna from scratch that takes hours and lots of money to make. It's so good that friends and family ask me to make it for them for birthdays instead of getting them a gift. Last month, I decided to make it for my girlfriend, who's 23. I spent a lot of money on the ingredients, and then more than half of the day making the herb-infused fresh pasta dough, the ragu, etc. When she came over, she took a couple of bites and said that she didn't understand why I spent so much time and money on it because it tasted exactly like the lasagna that she would make with stuff she bought from the store. She said it tasted exactly like it. My feelings were a little hurt, not gonna lie, but I understand that everyone has their own tastes. and I just told her I'm sorry she didn't like it that much and then kept it pushing and suggested that we watch a movie. Flash forward to yesterday. She was coming over for dinner and I asked her what she wanted to eat, and she said lasagna. So I popped over to the store and got panzani sauce and pasta sheets to make it because A, she said my lasagna and the quick-made one tasted the exact same, so no need to spend a lot on ingredients, and B, because even if I had wanted to make my recipe, I wouldn't have had the time since it takes me an entire afternoon, which is why it's a special occasion thing. So she showed up at my house, took one bite of the lasagna, and then spit it out and said that it tasted different. When I told her how I made it, she got really upset at me and said that I wasn't putting in effort and that she was expecting to have a real meal and not something cheap. I pointed out the comment she made the last time and she rolled her eyes and said she was clearly exaggerating. So then I got upset because, what? The situation got brought up to our mutual friends. Most have stayed out of it, but 2 of them think I'm the jerk because my girlfriend clearly meant that she wanted my special lasagna, which is why she asked for it as dinner, and that I should have let her know beforehand that I was going to make one using pre-made sauce, etc. I think it was clear that that's what I was going to do because she literally asked for lasagna 2 hours before coming over, which is not enough time to make the special one even if I wanted to. Am I the jerk? To clarify, the cheap lasagna tasted just fine, pretty tasty even, just not all that comparable to the original one in my opinion. Your lasagna just saved your life. It revealed your girlfriend for the petty, ungrateful person she really is. Now you can safely escape before you signed a lease, bought a car, got married, or had kids. Not the jerk, and praise be lasagna. Not the jerk. Boy, you really can't win with her, can you? You make good lasagna, she complains. You make simple lasagna, she complains. That must be exhausting to figure out what she actually wants. You don't move cars in the wrong spaces? Well, I'll park here then. This happened to me back in early 2015. We just recently made the move to purchase a new electric vehicle. At the time, the batteries in electric vehicles were small compared to today and only had around a 60 to 80 mile range. Well, one of our first larger journeys was to a shopping center about 60 miles away. We chose to go to this shopping center as it was also one of the first places to have electric vehicle charging compared to other shops, and at the time, the charging was still free. So we hoped to go there, get a free charge while shopping, and then head home with a full battery. Before we set off, we checked the charger was working through its app, and once we were happy, we made the journey. When we arrived, we found where the chargers were placed and ran into our issue. They were working fine, but they were fully blocked by non-electric vehicle cars. The bays were marked, but for whatever reason, people had parked in them. No worries, I thought, and I went into the center to find the information desk to ask if they would announce for whoever had parked there to come move their car. They said they didn't do that and that they wouldn't. I explained I needed to charge to get home, and could they please make an exception? They would not, and so I angrily dropped a hint about them clamping the car or leaving a ticket on it. They said they don't do that either. In fact, the car park was not monitored at all. It was free to park there for the day, so no cameras were needed to monitor the car park, and there were no car park attendants. So, you don't do anything about incorrectly parked cars? I asked. The answer I got was a firm no from the information desk person, and they really didn't want to be bothered again. As I got back to the car, I saw there was a pavement to the edge of the chargers. The chargers were situated close to the building, but the pavement was in a place that wouldn't be used much when walking around the car park. It also didn't lead anywhere, and more importantly, didn't lead to any disabled or parent parking spots. It was also very wide, which gave me an idea. I then drove to the end of the car park, mounted the wide pavement, made sure there was no one around, and slowly drive to the chargers. My cable then reached, I started the charge, locked the car, and went shopping. I got back to the car at the end of the day with some form of employee, possibly security, but wasn't sure, in front of the center looking perplexed at our car parked on the pavement. I just unlocked the car, pulled the cable away, and drove off with a full charge. Safe to say, the next time I went, a year later, there were signs on the electric vehicle bays stating parking restrictions. There was a fine for non-electric vehicles, and they were marked with more paint to make them extra obvious. Oh, and a couple of bollards at the end of the pavement where I mounted the curb. Am I the jerk for refusing to go to a child-free wedding if my son can't go? There's a lot of stories on here regarding weddings and child-free weddings and overall entitlement, but I want to know if I'm right by saying this situation differs to the rest or if I'm just being a jerk. My younger brother and sister-in-law are getting married next year, 2024, and sent out the RSVP earlier this February, which is when this whole fight started. The invitations include tickets to the wedding, along with the dress code and a semi-letter letting the attendees know that this is a child-free wedding, along with a few other formalities and rules, whatever they want to call them. Not my wedding, not my rules to make. Plus, I don't have kids. My only kid is 16, and I'm a single mom, so the whole idea of going to the wedding to enjoy a fun night to myself without kids is not something new, nor is it something I've had to worry about for a while. The issue isn't with the rule. The issue is that the invitation originally came with 2 tickets, and we didn't think much of it because he's not a kid, so why wouldn't he be invited? Turns out, the no kids rule involves anyone under the age of 18, and we found out when my son brought up the wedding during a family dinner, and both my sister-in-law and brother seemed taken aback, which then led to questions, and them finding out that they had accidentally sent out 2 tickets, which then led to an awkward conversation, and my son getting uninvited in front of the people present. I'm genuinely trying really hard to understand their side and the fact it's their wedding, not mine, but I can't get past the idea of the way they did so and how they made my son feel. Also, the fact that I had my son at a really young age and his dad was never present, so my brother was like a big brother to my son. So I think my son and me are quite hurt at the idea of my son not attending. I would say me choosing to not attend is nothing personal, but I'd be lying if I did so. I've been getting called immature, petty, and a jerk, but I think the situation would have been different had it been made clear my son wasn't going to be invited from the start and not to get his invitation revoked randomly. Edit. Am I confused and a little upset my son isn't invited to the wedding? Yes, sure. Is that the reason I'm debating on not going? No. My decision to not go is based entirely on their attitude through what's been going on this month, and it's also been based on my son's current feelings. If in a year the situation has bypassed, regardless of my son going or not, then my decision might change. But for now, I'll stand behind my son and his decision and his feelings. They've been calling you immature, petty, and a jerk? Who called you those names? It's pretty blatant that if someone invites you to something with stipulations you can't comfortably meet, declining is the obvious and acceptable answer. Not the jerk if the couple called you names. No jerks here if someone else did, since it's not their conflict. Am I the jerk for refusing to stop cooking with meats and spices at my dad and stepmom's house? I like cooking. When I'm with my mom and stepdad, I cook a lot with my stepdad's mom, my step-grandma. But when I'm at my dad's and stepmom's house, 1 weekend a month, plus some holidays and summers, things are different. My stepmom is not a good cook. I'm sorry, but she's not. She has sensory issues. She doesn't cook meat, barely uses any spices, and a bunch of other things. She also just undercooks, overcooks, undersalts, all of that. In the past, I've kind of tried to help her and cook with her and been like, what if we add lemon? But first of all, she doesn't like my input. She wants to do things her way. And second of all, there's sensory issues, so she doesn't want to cook differently than she does. If she ate what I made, she would not like it. At their house, my stepmom only cooks foods that she's comfortable with, which, since my dad never cooks, means any home-cooked meal is something she eats. She doesn't care what any of us eat when she's not around, like a friend's house or takeout. Officially, if we're like at a restaurant, or if I make my own food for dinner, she also doesn't care. Like if we all go to a restaurant, they wouldn't stop me from ordering a burger. But she would be kind of uncomfortable. Not mad, just uncomfortable. For her, it's the smell mostly, but it's also kind of a mental thing. I don't know how to explain it. She is in therapy. That's why I think she's able to pretend like it's okay. But because it bothers her, what would happen is that my dad would order vegetarian. Their kids, 3 and 4, would get something like a kid-sized grilled cheese, and I would maybe order like a chicken burrito instead of a steak. Or like if my dad got takeout, he would throw away the bag in the downstairs trash or leave it in his car so she didn't have to smell it. I've been cooking more and more. I like cooking and do it a lot at home, but like I said, her food is so bad, that's also a motivator. I eat meat and also cook with spices and strong flavors. But my dad came into my room last night and said, out of curiosity, could I stop cooking so much and try to eat what I was served more? I said to my dad that her food was both bad and boring. I wouldn't say this to her face, obviously. My dad said I needed to go with the flow and couldn't always have my own way. And to be fair, I can't act like I haven't noticed her not being anywhere in the kitchen, like going to the bedroom if I'm making myself dinner, to be honest. But I said basically that this was her problem, not mine. Why should I have to cater to what someone else who isn't even eating the food? He said I was being rude and disrespectful to her by pushing her limits, and said it was her home too. And yeah, I could make blander food that's more safe, but what's the point? The food is for me. Not the jerk. You cook and eat what you want. She cooks and eats what she wants. If your cooking produces strong smells, you should make a basic effort to keep the smell contained. That's just good sense operating in a shared kitchen space. Beyond that, if stepmom has a problem looking at your food or thinking about your food, then that's her problem. Am I the jerk for not washing my hands at 3 a.m.? Last night, my significant other, 28 female, woke me up, 29 male, at around 3 a.m. to tell me that I had thrown our dog off the bed while sleeping. I was a bit annoyed that she woke me up, so I went to the kitchen to grab a glass of water and use the restroom. I tried to stay as sleepy as possible to fall back asleep quickly. When I returned to bed, my significant other told me to wash my hands, as she had apparently heard me in the restroom and noticed that I forgot to wash them in my half-asleep state. I told her that I just wanted to go back to sleep and didn't want to argue since I had sprained my ankle a bit earlier in the evening. However, she continued to ask me to wash my hands repeatedly. After some back and forth, I decided to sleep in the guest room instead of our bed. I am aware that I should wash my hands after using the restroom, but I was annoyed that my significant other wouldn't drop the issue, and I couldn't fall back asleep until about 5:30 a.m. The next morning, I woke up in a bad mood, and she asked me jokingly why I had slept in the guest room. I told her that I had slept there because she woke me up for the dog and wouldn't drop the hand washing issue. I expected an apology from her since I thought waking me up for the dog was inappropriate. However, she told me that it was my fault for not washing my hands and that I should have tried harder to fall back asleep. She said I was being dramatic and needed to get over it. I got frustrated because I had asked her to drop the issue several times during the night, but she had ignored me. I got angry and told her that I should have washed my hands, but that waking me up for the dog's comfort was ridiculous and that she should have dropped it when I asked her to. I then told her not to talk to me unless she had something else to say besides, "You're overreacting." She left for work, and I'm now typing this in my home office, feeling upset. We're at a standstill where I feel like I need an apology, and she feels like I'm being dramatic. I tend to get angry quickly when I'm sleep deprived, so I know that I may be in the wrong here. I need some outside perspective. So Reddit, am I the jerk? Not the jerk. If the woman was truly concerned about germs, she wouldn't be letting the dog sleep on the bed. Does she clean his paws before he enters the house with the same vehemence that she expects you to wash your hands? I can guarantee a dog has walked through many unsavory things prior to bringing it back into your floors, inside your house, that you may then track around yourself on the soles of your own feet. Not the dog's fault, just facts. Also, waking you up at that time of the morning, unfair. I suggest the next time something like dog evicted from bed happens, wake her up at bum o'clock in the morning and see how she likes it. Literally my exact thought. Dogs are dirty. Don't get me wrong, I love dogs and I have one of my own, so I know for a fact that dogs can be a little stinky. They run outside on the dirty ground and walk bacteria all through your house. So unless the girlfriend is cleaning the dog's paws after every single time he goes outside, then she doesn't have a leg to stand on. Not the jerk. Am I the jerk for not agreeing to change our son back to public school? So I got a job at a private high school. The school gives free admission to the kids of faculty and staff, as well as to their lower grade schools. These schools are way better than the public schools in my area. I want to send my son to the private elementary school. Unfortunately, my son's mother was not really on board with this. She thought it would make things difficult since she also has a daughter who will be starting school next year. Our custody agreement has a part where we can't change our son's education without both of us agreeing, so my son couldn't go unless his mother said yes. Since the main issue she had was her daughter not being able to attend next year, I told my ex about the school's policy that siblings of current students have priority on the admission list. So with our son enrolled, she will also be able to enroll her daughter. My son's mother was happy with the idea after that, and they agreed. The school has really early deadlines for things, so my son's mother was trying to enroll her daughter for the next school year. That's when she found out that while her daughter would get priority admission, she would have to pay tuition. The school does offer scholarships, but they're more for exceptional or diverse students, so her daughter is way down on the list. My son's mother is now very upset by this and thinks I tricked her, even though it was obvious her kid wouldn't get in for free since she's not my kid. Still, she is insisting it's going to create problems down the line. For example, she thinks it will cause animosity between her daughter and our son, as he will have more opportunities. She also said it would be hard to deal with the kids being in different schools because they're far apart, about 15 to 20 minutes drive difference. She wants to change our son back to public school, but she can't unless I agree to it. I still don't see the point. She hasn't made a convincing argument. On my side, the school is way better than his old school, and he's happy and settled, and he has friends at his new school. On her side, her daughter may get a little jealous, and she may have to drive a little more on the days she has our son. Edit. Just so everyone knows, I have since told my ex that I can drive our son to and from school every day if it makes things easier. Not the jerk. You're doing what every parent should do and trying to give your son the most opportunities possible. Dealing with the locker thief in high school. This was back in the early 2000s, probably 2003 to 2004 school year. Throughout the entire year, there was a crime wave of people having their things stolen out of their locked lockers. Not everyone, but enough that everyone knew someone who it happened to. The school's only defense about this was that it was our fault for sharing locker combos with our friends. They also charged us every time we had to get the combination changed on a locker, like after a theft for instance, because it was assumed to be our fault. Well, I had my graphing calculator taken out of my locker. I also never gave out my combination to anyone, mostly because my friends were jerks and we pulled crap on each other all the time. So I was out $150 for the calculator and another $150 to change the combination, getting a locksmith to change out the lock. This is 2003 money, so it's a bit more than now. To anyone who has ever had to buy a TI-86 in 2003 or 2004, you'll know how much the things cost. Well, my dad was drinking buddies with one of the county detectives. I'll call him Detective Buddy and/or Uncle Buddy. He went in to talk to the school about these thefts going on, so he could get the security camera for the day my calculator went missing and got completely brushed off, as it was a non-existent problem, and he must have given out his locker combination. The principal told him he would need a warrant to get the camera footage. Then when he got the warrant, the school fought the warrant in court, citing student privacy. Cue the pro-revenge. Detective Buddy shows up at our house with a laptop and a laptop bag. He's like, "Throw this in your locker and tell everyone you know about your brand new laptop." Okay, sure, Uncle Buddy. 3 days later, I show up at my locker between classes and the laptop is gone. The bag too, nowhere to be seen, as is a 24-ounce bottle of Coke and possibly some pens. I take my phone out and text him that the laptop got taken. Stand by for the crap show. Oh, and you reported the theft to the police, FYI. He replies back. Okay, I replied, confused. I got about the rest of my day and I don't hear anything back. The following morning, Detective Buddy comes to the school with 3 uniformed officers and pulls a student, Dave, out of class, as well as his mom, who works in the front office. The principal is upset. I don't actually hear the cops, but the principal is upset to no end that he had the audacity to accuse them of theft, and he couldn't just take them out of his school, etc., etc. Well, turns out there was a tracker in the laptop bag, and Uncle Buddy got a warrant to search a particular house. The laptop had a value of over $1,000, making it a felony. The next afternoon, he set up a tent with a table just outside of school grounds. He also had a banner across the top, "If you had something stolen from your locker, see me." By the next morning, Dave and his mom made the paper. Apparently, Dave allegedly used his mom's login information to get onto the school network and get the locker combinations for basically everyone. Then he just opened random lockers looking for valuables to steal, if he didn't get info of a specific locker to steal from. When he set up the stand to get more people reporting thefts, he racked up an astounding number of charges. Each locker counted as a separate misdemeanor unless the stolen object was worth more than $1,000, in which case it was a felony. In less than a week, Uncle Buddy opened and broke an investigation, and they charged Dave and his mom with 9 felonies and 35 misdemeanor charges. When I finally got the story from Buddy, he explained what the situation was. He had me stash a brand new laptop that had a GPS tracking unit stuck in it in my locker, then get it stolen deliberately, and then he got a warrant to search the property it had been taken to. Now, the fun thing to stress is that the laptop was over $1,000 value. pushing the theft from a misdemeanor into felony level. There was also another 8 felony charges, stuff like jewelry that was taken from other people's lockers and recovered. So any of the locker break-ins that amounted to over $1,000 stolen was a felony charge, and less than $1,000 was a misdemeanor charge. Cool thing was that because the calculator and the laptop were separate days, and the combination changed between the days, he caught a felony and a misdemeanor charge off me alone. The 9 felony thefts ended up in $12,000 range total, and the 35 misdemeanor charges were somewhere in the range of $3,000 total in value. Now, that's an awful lot of stuff stolen, but I need to stress that this is only what was proven stolen. Like, this is what they caught him with in his possession and that they could trace back to someone. They also didn't let them plead to anything. It was Podunkville's highest profile crime in years, and without a doubt, one of the worst crime sprees the county had seen in decades. Next up on the revenge. Everyone who had been charged $150 to get their locker combinations changed sued the school district in a class action lawsuit. The justification was that the school did nothing to investigate the 44 proven and more than likely 200+ cases of locker theft, and then charged money to get the locker combinations changed. There were 218 people in the class, and in total, everyone got $85 after attorney's fees. The principal also lost his job for being a bonehead and not bothering to attempt to deal with the massive problem that was reported to him going on at the school. The fun thing I need to point out is that the school brought in a locksmith to change out the locks. That's why they justified charging $150. Well, the school already paid the $150 a locker, but they also had to return $100 per locker, meaning that they were out $21,800 plus their legal fees for that class action suit. Next comes the criminal trial and the fallout. The prosecutor's deal was 10 years in prison, 5 in juvie and 5 in adult prison, for Dave and 15 for Dave's mom. Well, they refused that deal and it went to trial. Dave got 1 year in prison for each felony, the state minimum, and 1 month probation for each misdemeanor. So 9 years plus 35 months of probation. His mom received 18 years of jail and 6 years probation. Having attended much of the best parts of the trial, I will say this. They had Dave on camera entering 20+ lockers, and they had them in possession of stolen goods for every single charge they made against them. The judge was also not amused that there were likely other reported crimes that they got away with because they couldn't prove it or they weren't reported. Dave's mom got it worse. That was a fun sentencing to show up for. But the most important thing is that I got my graphing calculator back. It had my name engraved inside the battery compartment. I still have it, as well as a cool story to tell. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.